Okay, it's time for another installment of Why Lawyers Can't Get Dates. I am your host. My name is Tom Swanson. I'm a lawyer in Houston, Texas, and I have been a lawyer for over 35 years. Today, we're going to introduce you to a word. If you already know the word and know what it means, you probably are going to have difficulty getting a date. The word is called prurient. Got that? Let's say it again. Prurient. Prurient. Yeah. Might be difficult to say if you're stopped and it's part of a DWI field sobriety test, but that's a whole other story. What is it about this word? Where does this word come up? Well, it actually comes up in the United States Supreme Court decisions. The first one goes back to 1950, a mutual film court versus Industrial Commission of Ohio case, which was a case involving an attempt by the state of Ohio to engage in censorship. But its big use, as far as I'm concerned, is in Roth versus the United States, which is a obscenity prosecution case, which was decided in 1957, and it deals with obscenity. Okay, and obscenity, just as kind of a legal notion, is not covered or protected by the Constitution of the United States. So the First Amendment does not apply if the matter involved is obscene. So, in the Roth case, there was parties accused of or convicted of violating, amongst other things, a federal obscenity statute. They were sending out various types of materials that were indicated to be obscene. Okay, and obscene material, it was defined as material which deals with sex in a manner appealing to prurient interest. How about that? Yeah. So sex materials that do not appeal to prurient interests, I guess, is legal. So what are we talking about here? Any idea? I had to read this stuff hard to get a handle on this. But basically, here's what it is. If sex is an integral part of these obscenity cases, but basically, if the sex material involves scientific matters, such as a nude body in a medical book, or personal organs, things like that in a medical book, that is not supposed to appeal to prurient interest. Therefore, it is a scientific matter. It is not obscene. Likewise, okay, if it's a matter of art, in other words, God only knows how that's defined. I heard it defined one time by a lawyer as anything that he couldn't do, or that was art. But bottom line is that they're talking about these artistic statues, with the guys with their ding-dongs hanging out in public. That's an artistic thing, and therefore that is not obscene. Okie dokie. So the thing is, what do they mean that it's obscene if it's sex in a manner that appeals to prurient interest? Okay. Well, that it basically, the term prurient means it stimulates someone. Okay. It stimulates someone, I guess, in a sexual manner. Gets them worked up, makes them horny, things like this. Okay. So at any rate, just keep in mind, if you are looking at nudity or something like that, and it appeals to your prurient interest as opposed to your scientific interest or your artistic interest, then you're not in trouble, okay? I sat there and thought about it for a long time. Wasn't there a better way to explain this? Did they have to use that term? They couldn't have come up with something else? And then I started thinking about it, and it's kind of tough, because the whole thing is tough. But they couldn't say, okay, the material deals with sex in a manner that, makes you horny, gives you a chubby, makes you hard as a rock, whatever it is, makes you wet. I guess they couldn't use those things. That would be very undignified. So I guess we're stuck with prurient. Okay, that's fine. You may be stuck with it, but don't expect to get a date. Okay. One final thing. I don't know. I want to tell you how life works. When I was younger and I read these cases, I thought about the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court judges at that time, when I was a young lawyer, they were like old people, okay? And I said, can you imagine those old people up there looking at this obscene material and deciding whether or not it's obscene, whether or not it appeals to prurient interest? Well, now that I'm old, shit, I resent such thoughts, and old people can analyze it just as well as you can if you're young. Okay. One final thing. As I was preparing for this, it made me think of a movie I saw one time. If you ever get a chance to see this movie, you got to get it. It's over 20 years old, but it's called From the Hip. Okay, with Judd Nelson is the main lead. It is an hysterical movie, but the reason it reminded me of it is there is a scene in the movie where the witness defines someone as an asshole, and an objection is made. The objection is sustained, and the young lawyer Judd Nelson requests a formal hearing on the objection. And the judge, who was played by Ray Walston, who years ago was in a show called My Favorite Martian, he looks at the lawyer and he says, "You mean you want to have a hearing over the use of the word asshole?" And that's what he did, and it goes on to show the hearing in another scene. But anyway, see that movie if you get a chance. It'll make you laugh. Okay, that's it. No more prurient discussion from me today. Tom Swanson signing off.